What's up, guys? DLE come out to talk about the new structure deck that we got last night with the Yugioh event update, and it's going to be Odd Eyes Challenger EX. This is the new EX structure deck that we're getting with the World Championship qualifier, and for the first time we're going to be getting an EX structure deck for free on release, in addition to the one that you can purchase for 1,000 gems from the store. So there's 6 new cards, and there's quite a bit of useful reprints, it seems, which is really good because Odd Eyes is a more recent deck, and it seems that they did take the time to give us some of the cards that are played in the deck today. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's get the first one out of the way. Yes, technically it's not a new card, but the alt arts are always sick, and I'm sure the Odd Eyes players will appreciate this one. Next, we've got Oath Dragon Magician. This is going to be a level 6 pendulum monster with a scale of 2. If you have a pendulum card in your other pendulum zone, you can add one face-up magician or Odd Eyes pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, except Oath Dragon. And that's a pretty good for an other magician effect. We've seen just how useful these are when you're able to cycle out multiple per turn, in addition with, using the materials that you do get and the stuff from searching to, make your Xyz summon. So pretty good pendulum effect. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target one magician, pendulum monster, or one Odd Eyes monster in your graveyard added to your hand. Now the thing is, how many times are you going to be getting them in the graveyard? Well, I think that the major effect that is going to be putting cards in the graveyard is going to be Xyz stuff, right? The Xyz monsters, the Xyz materials are going to go to the graveyard regardless if they're pendulum or not. So Odd Eyes Raging Dragon, the perfect segue into him. All right, so before we talk about Odd Eyes Raging Dragon, the new boss monster and cover card for the structure deck, we should first talk about the lifetime mission skill that Yugioh and Yugioh are going to be getting at the release of this structure deck as well. And it's going to make the boss monster very easy to summon. So let's read it. At the beginning of the duel, you get pendulum zones. Can be used when you have 2 face-up Performapal, Magician, or Odd Eyes cards in your pendulum zones. Reveal 1 Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon and 1 Odd Eyes Raging Dragon in your extra deck. Randomly add to your hand 1 Silver Claw, 1 Camelum, or 1 Coin Dragon from outside of your deck, and place from your hand or deck 1 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon and 1 Magician Pendulum Monster face up in your extra deck for the rest of this duel. You can only use Dragon type Xyz monsters as Xyz materials for the Xyz summon of Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. Okay, you can also use, you can also use Dragon type Xyz monsters as Xyz material for the Xyz summon of Odd Eyes Raging Dragon, and this skill can only be used once per duel. So this is absolutely insane. So this is basically going to make it so that when you do summon any Dragon type Xyz, which is going to be the Dark Rebellion, or if you happen to go into the Dark Requiem, you can then Xyz over it, right? The Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. You can use that as one of the Xyz materials. So you can use Dragon type Xyz monsters as Xyz materials. So that's only going to be one. You're still going to need an Odd Eyes, right? A level 7. So let's take a look at the monster now. So if you can pendulum summon level 7, you can get it from your extra deck face up. Great. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you can place it in your pendulum zone. If this card is Xyz summoned using the Xyz monster as material, which we're going to be doing because of the skill every single time, it can make a second attack during each battle phase. Once per turn detach 1 Xyz material from this card, destroy as many cards as your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, this card gains 200 attack for each until the end of this turn. So, man, if you are able to resolve this effect, realistically, you are going to be doing a ton of damage, and this is not an effect that's going to be, undone. Well, come to think of it, this effect is not going to just go off. This is an ignition effect, right? So most really good backer are going to be hitting this card. So, I'm just thinking that while you are bringing out Odd Eyes Raging Dragon as one of your main boss monsters, I don't think it protects you against some of the big back row that is one of the biggest threats for Odd Eyes right now. A lot of people are using Trishula instead, the Zero Dragon, and Trishula kind of allows you to take use of the negated pieces of your board. If your opponent decided to try to stop you on your earlier combo pieces, you can then go into Trishula Zero Dragon. Odd Eyes Raging Dragon is kind of an all-in. You're really hoping for you to be able to resolve an ignition effect, and if your opponent literally has any back row at all, you will not be resolving this effect. However, you know, maybe it's not the end of the world for it, but it is in a very awkward place. You don't want to start off with it and turbo it out, because the, you know, you're going to be wanting to take some kind of use of your Dark Rebellion or your Dark, you know, your Dark Rebellion. You know, come to think of it, you know, we're not using the other skill now, so we're not going to have access to Dark Requiem searching us that card out of nowhere. We're going to have to actually hard draw that rank up spell, because we're no longer using it. You're kind of depending on this. So it kind of makes me wonder, the old version of the deck where you're going to be making use of Dark Requiem and Trishula, right, and you're going to be getting that rank up consistently, or you play this version of the deck and you get access to Odd Eyes Raging Dragon as a part of your main gameplay loop from basically the beginning. I think it depends on what you value more, but I think Zero Dragon is better right now just because of, you know, how Orcus are in the meta, right? Orcus, they are able to come back very easily from things being destroyed. You know, they have cards that can activate quick effects from their graveyard on your turn if cards get sent to the graveyard, right? So honestly, that's not better than Trishula banishing. So we'll have to see. Even though the skill does make the boss monster very, very viable, I don't know about its viability in the current meta. All right, boom, we got Performapal Hurricane. This is going to be another removal normal spell for Performapals. Target cards your opponent controls up to the number of Performapal monsters you control. Return them to the hand. You can only activate this once for a turn. Now, the thing is, Performapals, you know, we don't have, like, we do run Performapals, don't get me wrong, but after the beginning of your combo, most of your deck is going to be like, how should I say this? It's going to be mostly like Odd Eyes Dragon and Magician monsters, but you're going to have a few, right? We're definitely going to have Second Donkey, Minotaurus during the beginning parts of our combo for sure. These Magicians, these are not Performapals, so it's only going to be Performapals. Minotaurus, Second Donkey, you know, Skull Crobat Joker, which is in the deck right now. Actually, I wanted to bring up a little deck list, boom, that we currently run, that is a current meta deck list for Odd Eyes. And we can see here, we're running Minotaurus, Skull Crobat Joker, and Second Donkey as our Performapals. Is this going to be a really crazy card? I don't know. Spiral Flame Strike kind of does a little bit of a 2-in-1. However, I will say Performapal Hurricane does do a little bit more against Orcus, right? And I think that is the name of the game in this meta. You have to do a lot against Orcus. You have to interrupt them more than you would by just destroying things. And while Spiral Flame Strike does get you consistency to the hand, if we're talking removal, you know, this deck, I think it can afford to play more than 20 cards right now. So Performapal Hurricane, let me know what you guys think about it. But I think the cards that destroy right now, those are effects that you kind of want to stay away from if you're going into the likes of Orcus. Now let's take a look at these guys. So we've got Performapal, Lizard Draw, and we've got what's this guy over here? Drumarilla. All right, Drumarilla, level 5, scale 2. Once per turn, when an attack is declared involving a monster you control, you can target and gain 600. Okay, pretty neat, dude. You can tribute summon if there are no monsters on the field. You can normal summon this card without tributing. So that's going to be like turn 1. If this card is normal summon without tributing, it's level +4. Once per turn, when an attack is declared involving a monster and an opponent's monster, you can target that monster you control and gain 600. I don't know, bro. Is this card really staying on the field after your turn? I do not know. It becomes level 4, which is very, very good. But it is just a normal summon, right? It's just level 4 normal summon. Doesn't really get you anything. You're definitely not running this in your deck. I don't believe so. No way, dude. We've also got over here Performapal Lizard Draw. Lizard Draw is level 3. It's pendulum effects as if you have a Performapal card in your other pendulum zone except Lizard Draw, you can destroy this card, and if you do, draw 1. If another face-up card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card or effect, you can draw cards equal to the number of Performapal cards you currently control. Now, I don't know, dude. I think these effects are really just too slow for the deck. And, you know, it kind of speaks to the reprints that we got in this box, which is the next thing that I want to talk about. And that's going to be the main thing that, you know, we're missing a couple key cards, I think. You know, let's look at the meta. This is the meta Odd Eyes deck right here. We don't have Shang Magician. Shanke Magician. This is the SR. We don't have Skull Crobat Joker. This is a 2 to 3 of UR in the deck. And we don't have Spiral Flame Strike. This is a 3 of UR and Arc Eyes. So while I think you are going to be able to get a lot of this support, you know, of course, thinking about people who already play the deck, right? If you already play Odd Eyes, and you already have this deck, you're thinking about what does this deck, right, the Raging Structure deck, add on to you? What value does it give you to your deck? And all that I can think of that it will give you is Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. However, you do have to accept that you're gonna have to, like, abandon the other playstyle to a certain degree. I feel like Zhangke and Shang does more for your deck overall than this deck does. It's a better overall option. I feel like going all in on Odd Eyes Raging Dragon this meta, it's okay against some decks, but it is just not the end all be all, you know, big removal option that is going to affect every meta deck in some way. That's just not how this meta is going to work out. So for people who are looking to get into Odd Eyes, right, maybe make something new with just Raging Dragon, you know, thinking about the stuff you're going to need, there is some good stuff here. But basically, I mean, Skull Crobat Joker is definitely going to be still something you want to do. You're going to want to always search. You're going to need more synergy with getting to Odd Eyes and things of the like. And yeah, I just don't know if this deck can stand on its 2 feet with just these cards when, you know, there are meta decks out here that can utilize the big 3 trap cards. And, you know, this deck tends to play faster and more aggressive than most, which means it's not going to utilize, right, like the Crackdown, the IDP. It's not going to utilize them as much of a crutch, or you can say as other decks would. But because of that, it's really explosive in its own engine power, and you really have to think, you have to capitalize on that and what it's going to do the most. Is Odd Eyes Raging Dragon going to do more to your opponent than Trishula, or are they going to be able to recover after you destroy everything? Or, you know, you have to think again, you know, this is destroying, Odd Eyes Raging Dragon is destroying a lot, right? As many cards your opponent controls as possible. So it's threatening everything, which means if you do activate this at the time when your opponent does have a stacked field, they're going to be doing everything in their power to get rid of it. I don't know, guys. Just some things to consider about this new strategy. Of course, we're going to be all getting one for free. So if you do play Odd Eyes already, you're going to be able to try out the strategy at least a little bit for free. Obviously, I think you're probably going to want, you know, at least another one to play it effectively. But let me know what you guys think. We're going to be getting, again, one for free, one purchasable for 1,000 gems. And let me know what you think about us getting a free Structure Deck EX. And yeah, guys, I'll see you later. Peace out.